Hello, students, and ready for chapter 13? Okay, so first we're going to start with lesson 13.1 and 13.2 combined because they are a review from third grade. So for 13.1, our objective is I will use a formula to find the perimeter of a rectangle. Now, hopefully when we said that word perimeter, it reminded you of something you learned in third grade. Now, what is a perimeter? Let's review. The total distance around a shape. So what I like to think of is if we have a playground, Pete pouts as he walks the perimeter of the playground and he walks the outside, while we have active Allie who likes to play in the area, the inside of the playground. So think of one as the outside edges, while the other area is the inside. So to do this, we need to figure out what each length of the edges on the outside of the shape are. How do we find the perimeter of a rectangle? The perimeter is when we add up each of the side lengths. So we can think of it as P, shortened for perimeter, because that's a really long word, is the length plus the width plus the length and plus the width. Now what that means is the length is how long, the width is how wide. So we think 7 plus 2 plus 7 plus 2 again. So we count all the outer edges and we add them all together. The total here would be 7 plus 7, 14, plus 2 more, plus 2 more. So we have a total of 18 feet. So our perimeter is 18 feet. Now I wonder, is there a quicker way? Could we use multiplication to find the perimeter? Let's see. So instead of adding each side length, we know that multiplication really just means repeated addition. So I wonder if I could just multiply the length, 7 feet, by 2 because we have 2 sevens. And if I could multiply the width, 2 feet, by 2 because I have 2 widths. So this would look like perimeter, P for short, is 2 times 2, my width here, plus 2 times 7, which is my length. So all it's saying is I have 2 of each of those lengths. We do the operation that's involved in the parentheses first. So 2 times 2 would be 4, and 2 times 7 would be 14. Once we solve what's in the parentheses first, then we can add them together. So 4 plus 14 is 18 feet. Let's try it again. So now we have a new shape. So instead of adding each of the edges, let's see if we can use our knowledge of multiplying. So let's look at our length here. We have 3 feet by 2 feet is our width. So I'm going to take 2 times this 3 right here because I have a 3 on this side as well, plus 2 widths, meaning 2 feet over here and 2 feet over here. That equation will look like this. The perimeter, the total outside, equals 2 lengths, which is 3, plus 2 widths, which is 2. I have to do the parentheses first, so 2 times 3 gives me 6, plus 2 times 2 is 4. Then I can combine them together. 6 plus 4 equals 10, so my perimeter is 10 feet around. Now to check ourselves, we can always add. 3 plus 3 gives me 6, plus 2 more is 8, plus 2 more is 10. And look, we are correct. So how do we find the perimeter of this rectangle right here? Use the same knowledge of multiplying. So we have 4 yards up here, which I know means I have 4 yards down here as well. I have 9 yards on this side, which, knowing my knowledge of rectangles, I have 9 yards here on this side. That tells me I have 2 of the same lengths and 2 of the same widths. All I need to do is double each of them. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 9 and 2 times 4. this is going to give me 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 times 9 is 18. Once I solve for the parentheses, then I can add together to get a total of 26 yards. Try the first 2 problems on your sheet. You can pause the video. After you've done those problems, welcome back. Now, how do we find the perimeter of a square? Now remember, a square is a special case. If we remember what we know about squares, we know that every side length is the same length. So instead of having a rectangle with 2 long sides and 2 short sides, these are all the same. So our number is not going to change. So we see our 3 inches here. Well, I know that that means it's 3 inches on this side, 3 inches on this side, and 3 inches on this side. So I can multiply this number here by how many sides there are. 3, 3, and 3, and 3. That gives me 4 sides altogether. So 4 times 3 inches is 12 inches total. Now let's double check our work with adding. 3 plus 3 would be 6, plus another 3 would be 9, and plus our final 3 on this side would be 12. So we do have 12 inches is the perimeter. Let's try it out. Okay, so we have 2 feet. They only gave us 1 side length, but because it's a square, that's all we need. So I take this 2 feet, and I know this side is 2 feet, the bottom is 2 feet, and the other side is 2 feet. I can add them all together, or I can multiply by how many side lengths there are. So we know there's 2 feet, and there's 4 sides. 2 times 4 will give me 8 feet. So my perimeter is 8 feet. Try the next problem on your sheet. So let's practice again. How do we find the perimeter of this rectangle? P stands for perimeter. We have 2 times our length plus 2 times our width. So right here we have our length is 44 feet and our width is 23 feet. All we have to do is take these numbers and plug them into the equation. 2 times our length is 44 plus 2 times our width is 23. Now let's solve for the parentheses. Those are the little marks on either side of the numbers. We're going to have to go back and do some multiplication. So 2 times 23 will give me 46, and 2 times 44 would be 48. So it'll look like this, 46 plus 48. Add those together off to the side, and we get 134 feet. Another way to do this would be to add each side, 44 plus 44 plus 23 plus 23 to equal a total of 134 feet. All right, now we're going to go to the second part of this lesson, which is reviewing perimeter, or reviewing area, sorry. Area is the inside. So our objective for this one is I will use a formula to find the area of a rectangle. Now remember, Active Allie likes to play inside the playground. She gets to play in the area, while poor Pete has to walk the perimeter, the outside of the playground. So let's review how to do double-digit multiplication. We have 32 times 56. We always start with the ones place value. So we look at our 6 times 2. We leave the ones and regroup the tens, meaning we drop the 2, we carry the 1 to the next place value. Then we multiply the ones on top by the tens on the bottom. So our 6 has to hit each part, the ones, then the tens. 6 times 3 gives me 18 plus the 1 is 19. I dropped the 1, or I dropped the 9 and the 1. So 19. So our total is 192. Now to help you remember, you can clean up and have a donut break, which means we put the 0 in here. And we've talked about how that 0 is a place value reminder that we have already completed our ones. And now we're moving to the tens place value. So now we're going to multiply our 5, which is in the tens place value. 5 times 2 is 10. So we drop our 0 here and carry the 1. Then we now need to multiply our tens. 5 times 3 gives us 15, but we cannot forget to add the one that we did up here. So we have 16 total. Then you need to add up the products. 192 plus 1,600. When we add those together, we get 1,812. Nice job. What is area? The amount of unit squares needed to cover a surface. So that means we're wanting to know how much is inside this shape. That means it covers a certain amount. So think of if I was trying to figure out how big the playground Allie was playing on and how much room she had, I would need to figure out the inside. While Pete, who has to walk on the outside, the perimeter, we'd have to figure out how far he has to walk around, but we would not have to know the area to know the perimeter. So how do we find the area of a rectangle? The area is multiplying just the base times the height. So notice if we have our grid here, and we're talking about units of measurement. Notice units right here. We have 15 units going across. You could count each one of those squares. And we have 6 units going up the height. When we find the area, we have the option where we really could count every single one of these squares. But that would take us a really long time. So we know that if we have 6 here, we have 15 groups of 6. Remember, that's what multiplication means. I could also think of it as rows. I have 6 rows of 15 units going across. So when I think of groups of, that tells me I can multiply. So I'm going to take 15 times 6, and that'll tell me how many squares are all together on the inside of this shape. 15 times 6, we're going to have to multiply over on the side, and that gives us 90 square units. Let's practice again. So now we have 15 times 23. So we're going to have to multiply the base times the height. So let's take a look. We have 15 times 23 over here on the side. And this is where that double-digit multiplication will come in handy. So practice using the steps, going by our ones first, taking a donut break, and then moving to the tens. Add it all together and you get 375 square feet. Now, how do we find the area of a square? So remember, a square is something special. It's a little bit different. So because a square has all the same side lengths, we just multiply this number by itself. Because if we think about it, it is 22 feet tall, which is our height, and the base is also going to be 22 feet. So we just multiply 22 by 22. When we multiply 22 by 22, our answer is 484 square feet. Try the next problem sheet on your own. Okay, nice job today. Now, just a review. Remember, perimeter is the outside, adding all the sides together, or multiplying the lengths and the widths. And finding the area, what we need to do is find the inside of the shape, meaning we multiply the base times the height. Okay, good luck today.